Whatever your take on the situation, one thing is certain. This lawsuit is more than just a personal battle between Fetterman and The View. It's part of a much larger conversation about the responsibility of media outlets and the immense power they have to shape public opinion, and it's a conversation we'll likely hear more about as this case unfolds. Legal experts are already weighing in, speculating on how this case could impact the way the media covers public figures in the future. Meanwhile, the rest of us will be watching closely, waiting to see if Fetterman's claims hold up in court, or if this ends up being another fleeting dispute that fades into the background. One thing is for sure, we're witnessing the intersection of politics, media, and law play out in real time. The outcome of this case could have lasting implications for how we navigate public discourse moving forward. So, where do you stand? Is Fetterman justified in taking legal action, or is this much ado about nothing? Whether you're drawn in by the political drama, the media ethics debate, or just enjoy a good legal showdown, this is a story that's bound to keep us talking. Stay tuned for the latest updates as this high-stakes saga continues to unfold.
That about the J6 people too, though, right? That's what they're going to say on the other side. That is weaponized also.
I'm not referring to that. I'm talking about the New York trial, and now the Democrats on our side there were some that were gleeful, calling it like now he's a convicted felon and those things, and now for our party we were talking about criminal justice, and we are now talking about second chances, and now all of a sudden now you're like, well, he's a convicted felon and all these things. And now clearly, again, both of those trials, the Hunter Biden one and the trial in New York for Trump, that was politically motivated, and those kinds of charges would have never been brought unless one side could realize that they could weaponize.
Now, let's zoom out and consider the broader implications of this lawsuit. This situation underscores the ongoing balancing act between free speech and defamation. On one hand, the freedom to express opinions is a cornerstone of democracy. On the other, individuals must be protected from harm caused by false or malicious statements. Striking this balance is no easy task, and Fetterman's case brings this complex issue into sharp focus. As this case unfolds, it could set a significant precedent for future legal battles involving public figures, the media, and the fine line between free speech and slander. In today's age of instant information sharing, it's more important than ever to reflect on the real impact of words, especially when those words are broadcast to millions. So, what do you think? Did The View cross the line, or is Fetterman overreacting? Is he taking a necessary stand for accountability, or is this just an attempt to regain control of his public image? It's a fascinating debate that touches on critical issues, defamation laws, media ethics, and the role of politics in shaping public discourse.
If they had a placebo group and they had a vaccine group because they wanted for military readiness to see if the flu shot was prophylactic against coronavirus. What they found is actually the people who got the flu shot were 36% more likely to get coronavirus. And that's not a lone study. We found 6 other major studies that say the same thing. If you get the flu shot, you're more likely to get coronavirus. Look, all you have to do, Alan, and this is what Cochrane said, is look what's happened to longevity in the elderly since we started mandating the flu shot to elderly people. Those are the people who their life expectancy has dramatically gone down as the flu shot proliferated. And if you see, the people who died during the COVID crisis.
Let's talk about Sunny Hostin. She's no stranger to controversy, known for her candid opinions and bold statements, which have made her a prominent figure on The View. But in this case, her remarks may have crossed a line. Was it just a straightforward opinion, or did it venture into defamation? That's a question for the courts to decide. The bigger issue here is whether public figures, especially those with massive audiences, should be able to speak without facing consequences for their words. Fetterman's lawsuit isn't just about one comment or one show. It's about the broader issue of media accountability in a world where misinformation can spread faster than ever. Fetterman is raising critical questions about the role of media in shaping public opinion and what happens when those opinions are built on false or harmful narratives. In an age where anything can go viral within seconds, the stakes for responsible journalism have never been higher. This case challenges us to consider the power of words and the responsibility that comes with platforms as influential as The View. It's a reminder that freedom of speech doesn't absolve anyone of accountability, especially when their words can have far-reaching consequences.
His son, after all, and people do have sympathy for that. But a lot of people are angry with him about it. What do you say?
Oh, well, I think it's undeniable that the case against Hunter Biden was really politically motivated, but I also think it's true that the trial in New York for Trump that was political as well too. Now it's that, and in both cases, I think a pardon is appropriate, and I really think collectively, America's confidence in these kinds of institutions have been damaged by these kinds of cases, and we cannot allow these kinds of institutions to be weaponized against our political opponents. And it's very clear both trials were politically motivated and weaponized that on the other side.
This is a big deal because in today's world, the media holds enormous influence over public perception. So when a senator like John Fetterman feels misrepresented or unfairly criticized, it's not just a personal issue, it's part of a larger conversation about media ethics and responsibility. That's precisely why he's taking legal action, but why should we care? Sure, it's an interesting legal squabble, but how does it impact everyday people like you and me? Here's why. This situation highlights much larger issues we all face in an age dominated by social media, 24/7 news cycles, and constant online commentary. It's a prime example of how the line between free speech and defamation can become blurred, and underscores the immense responsibility media outlets like The View have, given their massive reach and influence. Fetterman's lawsuit isn't just about defending his own reputation. It's about setting a precedent. It's about holding media outlets accountable for the power they wield. Known for being outspoken in his political career, Fetterman is now using this legal action to make a broader point about journalistic ethics and public discourse. He's sending a message. Having a platform doesn't give anyone the right to say whatever they want without considering the consequences. Think about it. The View has millions of viewers who tune in daily, hanging on every word from the hosts. When one of those words crosses the line into personal attacks or misrepresentation, it can't simply be brushed off. Fetterman argues that The View's producers should have been more careful and responsible, and that airing those comments unchecked was a significant failure on their part. For Fetterman, this isn't just about clearing his name. It's about ensuring that media outlets recognize the weight of their words and act responsibly in wielding their influence.
A new Netflix documentary series about New York Jets quarterback Aaron Rodgers. He said he's heartbroken about friends and family cutting him off for his controversial political views and conspiracy theories. And a lot of Americans can relate to this, especially after this last election. So, do you think it happens everywhere?
What I recall about him is when he was asked about the COVID-19 pandemic, during the height of the pandemic, when people had lost loved ones, when people's family members were missing from their Thanksgiving table, like my table, he said, "I'm immunized." And as it turns out, he was not. He had done his own research. He has his Google MD like I do. And I think he said he was allergic to something in the vaccine, but he had COVID and he was in a huddle with his teammates. Yeah. And I think people felt like, wow, you don't care. You're not your brother's keeper.
This could really, this could really turn me against
a morality.
Let's start with John Fetterman. The Pennsylvania senator is no stranger to the spotlight. Over the years, he's built a reputation as someone who speaks his mind and challenges the status quo. Whether he's standing up for the underrepresented or calling out injustices, Fetterman has made it clear that he's all about fighting for what's right. And that includes holding the media accountable when he believes they've crossed a line. When Fetterman appeared on The View for a taping, most people anticipated a typical segment, lively discussions about politics, current events, and perhaps some light-hearted banter. After all, The View is known for its candid, opinionated exchanges, and Sunny Hostin is no exception when it comes to speaking her mind. But things took an unexpected turn. During the live broadcast, Hostin reportedly made comments that Fetterman felt went too far. While the exact details of what was said remain unclear as the legal process unfolds, it was enough to prompt a significant legal response. Fetterman alleges that the remarks were defamatory, damaging his reputation and causing harm beyond just a bruised ego. What started as a routine talk show appearance has now become a major controversy, and the stakes couldn't be higher.
In a million years, I would not take the flu shot, and I'll tell you why, because this is what Cochrane and BMJ have found. People who take the flu shot are protected against that strain of flu. They're 4.4 times more likely to get a non-flu infection. And you might find, and a lot of people do, that they get the flu shot and then they get sick. They're usually not getting the flu. They're getting something that is indistinguishable from the flu because the flu shot gives you something called pathogenic priming. It injures your immune system so that you're more likely to get a non-flu viral upper respiratory infection. In fact, the Pentagon published a story, and you can cite this, it's by Wolfe, W-O-L-F-E, in January of this year, in which they said that the flu shot not only primes you for flu, but it primes you for coronavirus.
All right, folks, buckle up because today's story is shaking up both the political and entertainment worlds. You've probably heard of John Fetterman, the Democratic senator from Pennsylvania, renowned for his bold stances on justice, equality, and fair treatment. But what you might not have expected is that Fetterman is now at the center of a lawsuit that's bringing political drama straight into the world of daytime television. Yes, you heard that right. Fetterman is suing The View host Sunny Hostin, along with the show's producers. This isn't just a tabloid rumor or another celebrity feud. It's a full-fledged legal battle that's quickly becoming the talk of the town. So, what exactly happened to spark this controversy? And why is it making such big waves? Stick around because we're diving deep into the details to uncover why this case matters, not just to those directly involved, but to all of us.